week's portion of Shoftim, there is one verse that is far beyond more important than all the other ones about the concept of simplicity. We find it with Abraham that was filled with wisdom, but he understood that in order for him to be both connected to the light of the Creator and to be able to receive the endless blessings of the light of the Creator, he must be living in a state of simplicity with what is coming into his life. So the Creator says to Abraham, "Italech lefanai ve'yeh tamim," walk in front of me and be simple, with simplicity of thought. Then, "Va'avarchecha va'agadla shemecha," then you'll become great and I will give you limitless blessings. It's the first time an individual is promised and given limited blessings, physical and spiritual. The Creator wasn't saying, do me a favor, live with simplicity and I'll do you a favor, I'll give you blessings. But he was saying, there's no other way. And then it says, "Venatati et briti." Now, most of us know that on a physical level, when a child is born, there is a brit, which is the removal of additional skin. What's the connection between living simply, between having limited blessings and removing additions? There's a concept the Kabbalists speak about that says, "Kol hamosif goreh." Whenever you add unnecessary, and thought is really the most powerful thing you can add, you are diminishing what's called orla, which is the additional foreskin for a child, but really what it represents is the additional unnecessary weight of thoughts that we put on everything. It says about Adam that after the sin, it says, "Moshech be'olato," which means he kept on adding, because once he got the thought of the snake, he kept on saying, why is this happening? Why is this happening? For a long time, he kept on adding orla, that we often use for the foreskin, but it represents the unnecessary weight that we put upon everything. So if something is happening, the right way of doing it is accepting it, knowing it's coming from the light of the Creator, and not trying to figure out why or what I could have done differently in the past. When a person starts having those thoughts, they add orla, add weight to that situation and make it much more difficult for light to be revealed there. The gift, and this is why this portion is always read in this month of Virgo, Elul, there's a beautiful verse that the Creator will remove the additional weight, the orla, from et levavcha ve'et levav zarecha. The work of Elul is to remove this weight from our hearts and the hearts of our children. What does it mean to remove the orla from the heart? Now it's very clear. All the additional extra weight, wasted thoughts, that this is the secret of the orla, that we are put upon our lives in all areas of question. All that has disconnected both ourselves and our heart, and of course our consciousness, from the light of the Creator. The most important work of this month, in order to prepare for Rosh Hashanah and the limitless blessings that we desire for the next 12 months, is to remove all the orla from et levavcha be'et levav, from your heart and the heart of those around you. This is Elul, because the most important work of Elul is to go back to a state of tamim, to go back to a state of simplicity. So we want to understand the danger, the damage of smart thoughts. This teaching is pointless if we do not take it into action, which means, again, at least for the next 3 weeks, fight for simplicity. Because as we said, if we don't fight for simplicity, you are keeping to eat from what's called Etz Adat Tov Vara, from the tree of knowledge, good and bad, forcing yourself to remain in that state again and again, with a snake, with a snake, with a snake. Why? Second, what we said, when a person starts questioning in silly ways, where it's not going to make a difference, then when he or she are shutting off their highest level of soul. Third, the only way to receive limitless blessings, what's called the Or HaGanuz, Ma Rav Tuvcha Asher Tzafanta Lere'echa. The great light that the Creator has prepared for those who are truly connected is only Lo Imna Tov Me'olech Tamim, only for those who are fighting for simplicity. And fourth, to understand that the entire work, all of our lives, certainly, but in these 4 weeks, are to remove all the orla, all the addition that we brought onto every situation in our lives through those thoughts of why. And you have to practice it. Maybe the most important phrase, meditation that you can use should be Tamim, Tие elokich, that the Creator gave it to Moses. Be simple, and then you are with the light of the Creator. It's like putting a cork on a bottle, because the thoughts are going to want to come. You will have time, maybe today, certainly this week. Why? Oh, this has happened. Why? Oh, that happened. Why? Tamim, Tие, Elוקיך. I need to be simple in order to be with the light of the Creator, in order to open to the Rav Tuvcha Asher Tzafanta L'Re'echa, to the great and limitless light of blessings. A person who is not fighting to be simple cannot receive limitless blessings. It's that simple. Kabbalist Rav Nachman from Breslav, he was the grandson of the Baal Shem Tov, and he wrote a book of stories. Of course, these stories are filled with wisdom. One of his stories speaks about two people, the smart person and the simple person. And the story begins, they are both begin life in the same area, same place. And of course, they go through challenges. Of course, the simple one lives through his challenges in a completely different way. He doesn't question, he just goes through it. Not only that he goes through it, he experiences it with joy. The smart person, when he goes through his challenges, start questioning, and as we just learned, all those questions create weight. And the end of the story, of course, the simple man is back having a lot of limitless blessings, and the smart man is still mirrored in his thoughts, in his questions, in his weight. But there's one section in the story when the simple man loses his money, and he's going through challenges in his life. All they have at home with his wife is a load of bread, and it says he would sit at dinner with his wife and he would say, "My dear wife, would you please give me a piece of bread?" So she would give him, and he starts to go on for 5 minutes because he's so simple. How amazing is this bread? And he's getting so excited about this piece of bread. Then he would say to his wife, "Can I have some soup?" And all they had is bread. So she cut him another piece of bread and she gives it to him. And he eats the piece of bread and say, "Wow, this is the most amazing soup I've ever tasted. Amazing, amazing soup." And Rabbi Nachman from Breslav said he wasn't playing a game. He was actually tasting the most amazing soup in this piece of bread. Then he asked for the meat, and she cuts him another piece of bread. And he's eating it and says, "Oh my goodness, this is the best meat I've ever eaten in my life." And then he said, "I'd like some beer." Of course, they couldn't have any beer, and she poured him a cup of water. And he tasted the water, and he says, "My goodness, it's the best beer that I ever tasted in my life. How did you make it?" Then he asked for some whiskey, and she poured water, and he goes, "Oh my God, how old is this? This is the best whiskey I ever tasted in my life." And he kept on repeating, making it clear he was actually tasting all those things. He was a simple person, and that simplicity brought him to be able to extract light from everything that he was experiencing. היה מתענג ומשבח כאילו הוא שותה אותה ממש. He experienced, and his pleasure was as great as he was completely tasting it. והיה רק מלא שמחה וחדווה תמיד. And the simple man was filled with only simplicity and joy always. If you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Book now with me one-to-one session in angel coaching and communication coaching. To learn more, email or DM me. Enjoy the video. Many years ago, people used to say something stupid, that when you study Kabbalah, you can go crazy. But I'd like to say, maybe it's okay to go a little bit crazy. Let's all commit, or at least desire, to go a lot crazy, meaning I want to live in the simple world where everything is only light and blessings. People might look at me or you and say, "What are you doing? You're eating a piece of bread. What are you talking about? Meat? The best whiskey? You're an idiot. You're crazy." I'd rather be a crazy person living on simplicity, living in only goodness and light, than the smart person who's living in pain and suffering. And that's what this Shabbat is about. With what we shared today, we're all going to commit to fight to live with simplicity of thought. Because as we said, that is the only way to disconnect from Satan. That is the only way to stop eating from the tree of knowledge, good and bad. That is the only way to connect to the highest levels of our souls. And that is the only way to be able to receive limitless light and blessings that can only come to the individual who is actively pursuing a life and fighting for simplicity. And with the additional element of let's be a little bit crazy, or a lot crazy, who cares? As long as I have limitless blessings and only pleasure all the time, I'll be crazy too. This is the gift of this Shabbat. And it is the work of the next 4 weeks, at least it's the work of this month of Virgo, Elul, to remove all the orla, all the additional of thoughts and weight that we put on things that therefore separate them and us from the light of the Creator. May we merit through this work of Tamim Tiyeh that we will fight for simplicity of thought and remove all other thoughts, questioning. We will be with Hashem, Elokeicha, completely unified and a part of the light of the Creator. And now I'd like us to connect to what we just said through a short meditation. Please sit very comfortable, uncross your arms or legs. You can look above eye vision and slowly close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and slowly breathe out. Bring to your mind one situation in your life right now that you've been carrying with too much weight. Don't analyze it, just see it in front of you. And now imagine that every question you've added to this situation. Why did this happen? Why did they do this? What could I have done differently? What is going to happen? Has become a layer of heavy material wrapped around your heart. Layer after layer. This is the Ola, the additional weight we have placed on something that underneath all those layers is simply light. Now visualize the light of the Creator coming toward your heart. And as the light touches each layer, see it begin to loosen. One layer falls away, another layer falls away. Why does this happen? Falls away. What should I have done differently? Falls away. What is going to happen? Falls away. Watch all of that weight drop from your heart to the ground. You don't need to carry it anymore. And underneath it, see your heart becoming lighter, clearer, open again. Now see the situation itself without all the layers you added to it. Just the situation. And surround it with completely pure light. Now quietly repeat, Tamim, Tiyeh, Im Hashem, Elokeicha. I don't need to understand everything. I don't need to know why. I choose simplicity. I choose to trust the light. Take another deep breath and imagine your entire body becoming lighter as you release the need to understand, explain, or control. Tamim, Tiyeh, Im Hashem Elokeicha. And now see your heart completely open, without the orla, without the additional weight, ready to receive the Marav Tuvcha Asher Tzafanta Leirecha, the limitless goodness and blessings already prepared for you. Take one more deep breath and make one commitment. For the next 4 weeks, when the why comes, I will fight for simplicity. Tamim, Tiyeh, Im Hashem Elokeicha. I remove the weight, I return to simplicity, and I open myself to the limitless light. And now take one last deep breath in, and slowly breathe out. Hold on to this feeling of lightness, simplicity, and connection. I'm going to count from 1 to 5, and when I reach 5, you'll gently come back to the here and now, bringing this consciousness of simplicity with you. 1, feeling lighter. 2, becoming aware of your body. 3, becoming aware of the space around you. 4, taking 1 more deep breath. And 5, gently open your eyes, fully present, carrying this simplicity and connection with you. Tamim, Tiyeh im Hashem Elokecha. May we continue to choose simplicity, and through that simplicity, remain connected to the light.